Hi, I'm Terry Ammerman. My company name is the Terry Ammerman Group, and I have been doing communications coaching my entire career. I've worked mostly in the corporate world, but now I am extending beyond that because I love working with women and I want to offer my services and my insight in the online community. So today what we're going to talk about is how do you handle someone who comes up to you and starts talking to you when you don't want to talk. So one of the things that we do in the Terry Ammerman Group, in addition to communications coaching, or one type of communications coaching, is how to handle the media. So you've probably heard of the ambush interview, and that's when a reporter comes up to you and puts a microphone in your face and starts asking you questions when the last thing that you are expecting or prepared to do is an interview, a media interview. So the interesting thing about this is that when we teach media training, we tell people to never do an ambush interview. If the media comes up and starts asking you questions when you're not prepared to do these interviews, then you simply politely decline. So many of you would not be dealing with media interviews, but what you do deal with is finding yourself in a situation where somebody wants to ask you a question or get into a long, detailed conversation, and now is not the time for you. So let's take a step back and let's talk about boundaries first. I'll get deeply into this later on in another video, but the thing that is important for you to know is you have a right to create boundaries so that you are not in a situation that you don't want to be in. Mina Irfan, who is my best friend and also an incredibly successful coach online, calls it energetic boundaries. And what that means is you've decided ahead of time what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And so what I'm going to share with you is some ways to impose those boundaries so that you don't find yourself in a tough spot. So let's say it is not the right time. Let's say you are out shopping with your family, and of course you're an influencer who's quite famous, and people recognize you. The more of an online audience that you get, the more people are going to start recognizing you. Now, that may be quite welcome. I know, for example, with Mina, she very often welcomes people to come up. She said the place that people come up to her the most often is at Costco. She's often with her family, and she loves meeting her subscribers. But let's say that you are in the parking lot of Target, of Costco, and a subscriber comes up to you and says, "Hi, oh my gosh, I recognize you. I can't believe I'm meeting you." And that's all wonderful and good. And then they go on to say, "Oh, I've learned so much from your course about fitness. What I really want to know, though, is what do I do when I've tried and tried and tried and I can't seem to lose the weight, and and you get this, they go on and on and on. And this is not the time, first of all, for you to do free coaching. And second of all, for you to be engaging with a subscriber when you're on your free time, you're shopping, you're doing something else. And why do you not just go ahead and talk with her? It's because in the 40 years that I've been doing this training, what I know is you don't do your best work if you're not prepared. Now, you may talk off the cuff in your YouTube interviews or your YouTube videos rather, and it's very conversational, and that's all good. But if you are approached when your mind is on what you need to buy at Costco or what you need to buy at Target, or your children might be with you and you need to get them to the car, then what do? How do you handle that? And what I recommend that you do in these situations is that you be polite and diplomatic, but you disengage. So you might say something like, I want to hear what you have to say, but this is not the time for me. As you can see, I'm shopping. I've got my kids with me. Please email me and let me know when you'd like to set up some private coaching. I would be happy to do that. Now, here's an important thing to remember. People who are going to come up to you and start sharing their life story with you in the parking lot of Costco probably don't have real strong boundaries or a real strong sense of boundaries. So you need to be firm when you say this. If you are overly kind and nice because you don't want to hurt their feelings, they're not going to get it. So be firm, be polite, and then disengage, and then walk away. And it sounds awkward. I will tell you that we teach people in our corporate training to walk away, and it's very uncomfortable for them. They've been taught not to walk away from people that are talking to them. But that's the only way you're going to disengage and essentially protect your energy and protect your boundaries. So what I recommend to you is that you can use my words or you can create your own. But in this preparation process, what I do recommend to you is that you create these energetic boundaries, that you decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then that you create the words that you want to use in those situations ahead of time. Always drinking my water. So let's say, for example, you're on a coaching call and you get a couple of minutes into the coaching call and you realize that your client is exceedingly distracted. They are distracted because they've been drinking, they're high, or they've got kids in the background, or they're trying to talk to you from their car when they're driving somewhere, there are people around. This kind of stuff happens quite often. You want to give them your best work. And if you're going to expend that energy, you want to be heard. You want to make an impact with them. So what is your energetic boundary for what you want on a coaching call, and when do you decide to disengage? So I would say if someone is high on drugs or alcohol, and this happens, that you may say something along the lines of, I am definitely realizing here that we aren't going to be able to have a coaching session that's truly going to serve you today. You're a little bit distracted here. Let's hang up and email and decide how we want to regroup and move forward. Now, what's going on here? Listen to the words that I've said. I have made the decision. Let's hang up and regroup. So I have already energetically made the decision that I am not going to train somebody who is so distracted that they're not going to be able to hear what I have to say. And so I am not asking her permission. I'm not saying, is it okay with you if we do this a different time? because she may say, no, I'm fine. I'm ready to listen. No, that is not what you want to do. You decide before you say anything that you're going to stop. And you say it very politely, but again, very firmly. I can see that this is not a good time for you, that you're quite distracted. Let's hang up and regroup, and we'll decide how we want to move forward. If this is the second or third time that this has happened, this may not be the coaching client for you. Again, you're deciding. You're deciding what works for you. So the goal here is for you to get out of situations where you feel that you are not going to be able to give your best work. And then you take a step back and you regroup. What about a situation where you actually feel unsafe? Let's say you've reached a place in your YouTube channel, your online world, where you have so many subscribers that you are recognized at places where you don't want to talk to somebody about collaborating with you, or you don't want to talk to somebody who obviously comes up and turns their phone on and says, let's vlog. Oh my gosh, I just am so excited to meet you, Terry. I watch your channel. Let's vlog together. Well, in a situation like that, maybe you're checking out of a hotel, you're at the airport, you're anywhere, but you don't want to be in that situation. What we as women, and obviously we as people who have a lot of clients, are really afraid of is being perceived as rude. We never want to be perceived as rude. But let's put this in perspective. If someone were to walk up to you and start a vlog, because they're also a YouTuber, and put you on camera without your permission ahead of time, they are literally invading your private world. You have every right to stop that. And of course, you don't want to come across rude, but if you come across firm, even if that winds up on camera, it's not the end of the world. So one of the things we tell our corporate clients, for example, those who are dealing with the media, is that even if the media puts you on camera politely declining the interview, it's not going to hurt you. So the reality here in let's say a vlogging situation is, even if they get a clip of you vlogging, of you on their vlog, and you politely decline it and say, this is not a good time for me to do this. Let's talk later. Please email me and let's talk later. Then you're not going to come across as rude or obnoxious. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't want to talk to them later. And I understand that. I think it's a really good way to disconnect without appearing rude. And then once they're in your email box, you have a lot more control about how you want to deal with that. You can have an assistant respond. You can respond with 1 or 2 lines that say that you're not really interested in pursuing this. And so there are many different ways that you can handle it when you have some breathing space and they are emailing you. So let me wrap this up and repeat what I said earlier. Your goal is to get out of situations with politeness and firmness when you feel that you can't do your best work or you feel unsafe. And I give you permission to do that with that level of firmness and intention, and not be afraid that your client might get mad at you. Because really what you want to understand is that when people invade your space, they don't have good boundaries already. And so you're going to have to be a little bit firm to be able to disengage and move on. If you have any questions about this, please email me, or please put your comments below, and then let's talk. I would love to answer your comments. Bye-bye.